Hello, welcome back to the Basics of Diag YouTube channel, and today, as promised, we're looking at this Skoda Roomster. In the last video we did the charging system, find out the alternator was no good, and then I showed you a sneak peek of the fault codes we had. We've got an extra fault code in this now, P24580 DPF regeneration duration. That wasn't there last time, just the soot accumulation. So I'll flip you around and these are what we've got. Obviously this is the new code. These 5 were here last time. These 2 I'm not concerned about because I had the air mass meter unplugged. So what we are looking at today is these 2 DPF ones and this turbo boost sensor A, high input. Now the fault with this vehicle is DPF light is on, coil light, the glow plug light is flashing, and it's underpowered. There's no boost, yeah, no turbo operation whatsoever. It is flat. Would struggle to get up a steep incline. So yeah, let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is look at some DPF data, just pressures, because if that is restricted, then it's going to have a knock-on effect to how quickly the turbo is going to spool up, and therefore the subsequent boost that can be generated. So I'm going to look into the live data, and then I'm also going to manually measure it using a manometer, just to confirm that the live data reading matches up with the actual pressure in the exhaust. Right, so here we are, particle filter, differential pressure in HPA, which I think is the same as millibar. I think 1 HPA is 1 millibar. I'm used to looking at pressures in millibar, and sort of anything less than 10 millibar at idle is a good reading. So looking at this data here, we're good. And then if I increase to 2,500 RPM, we should see, well, ideally less than 30. I'm not going to be too worried if it's towards 50. If it's over 100 millibar, then we know we've got sort of a restriction in the exhaust. So let's just increase the revs, and pressure there is 25, 26 millibar. So to me, that data looks good, as long as the sensor is reporting the correct value back to the ECU. And obviously we need to confirm that physically at the exhaust using a manometer, I can't even say that word, a manometer, as mentioned earlier. I'll set that up now. So the pressure sensor on this one is down here. Fill focus. There. There's 2 pipes. One on the left is what I've removed. That goes to the exhaust itself. Pre-DPF. Some cars, the second pipe will be post-DPF. This one is just referencing atmosphere, and then I am piped in here, this white translucent pipe, up to a manometer here. So let's start it up. Now let's have a look at what that is reading. Fluctuating between sort of 7 and 10, 7.5 and 10 millibar, which is roughly what our sensor was showing. I'm going to see if I can rest it somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to see that. Increase engine speed. Couldn't really see that. I think it went up to 50 roughly. I'll have to watch the footage back and have a look. Yeah, maxed out about 50ish, but it was 37, 45, so it's a bit higher than I would expect it to be, but it's not too high that it should be causing the boost issues that we've got. So I'm gonna disregard them DPF codes for now, and we're gonna move on to that turbo actuator code. I'll just put that back together. This is something a regen should be able to sort of clear up. Let's see if we can get it boosting again. Right, so that's back together now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to clear the fault codes. This fault is obvious. So if it's something that is present right now, this clearing the code should not make this boost just reappear. Now the owner of this vehicle obviously bought it, and I think there was a noise on it, like a squeaking sort of noise. The people it was bought off said it was the turbo. They thought it was the turbo. It's come with this sort of in the cup holder down here. This is the actuator with obviously built-in position sensor, but I can't see any Volkswagen Audi group markings on this. Not sure what the story is there entirely. I can see the EGR has been blanked off, and apparently the EGR had been unplugged for 6 months of driving because it was making a noise. Let's see if we can hear the noise. It's weird that there's no EGR codes, if obviously that is true. Just got me thinking, has it been mapped out? I don't know. There could be a lot to uncover on this one, so don't know if you can hear that. Apparently that noise went away with the EGR unplugged. I might look at some EGR data. I'll clear codes first. Right. Clear codes. Read codes. Just the DPF ones. I'm not bothered about them at the minute. Started it. See if any codes come back. Oh. Every single one of... Right. That was unexpected. So, we'll just have to pick one and run with it. Let's look at some data. Mass air and intake air and turbo data, right then, I think. Just looking at some mass airflow data now. We've got the grams per second here, and then the milligrams per stroke here, and it looks alright. Bit low, if I'm honest. I would expect maybe 12, 11 grams per second. However, if we times this by 4, because this is a 4-cylinder engine, I think we get about 1,520-ish milligrams or cc's, and this engine is a 1598 cc's, so it's there or thereabouts. Obviously we know the EGR is blanked off, so there's no exhaust gases coming in. allowing that mass airflow figure to drop. That would be a nice test to be able to do. If we could, you know, well, can I remove the blanking plate? I'm not going to do that just yet. We'll see where we end up. For now, it's just a process of elimination. I'm going to work on that turbo position sensor circuit A fault code, I think. I've got a wiring diagram. It's a 3-wire sensor. There's a 5-volt reference, a signal wire and a ground. We'll scope it, see what happens. There's also a boost control solenoid or an N75 valve. I might get my power probe and actuate that, and that should test the solenoid, the vacuum lines and the actuator itself. So yeah, right, we're hooked up now. This bottom wire, blue and yellow, is our 5-volt reference. As you can see, 5 volts on there. This purple and white is our signal. We've got 1.5 volts and a 5. Ignition off. Ignition on. Start it. And then our black and red to the ground. Yeah, 0.02 of a volt on there. I think this is our turbo actuator. Red hot, that. Roasted. That's feed in. I can feel it pulsing. It's red hot. And we've got out. Yeah, and that one goes to atmosphere, does it? Right, so I've taken this boost pipe off. Not the boost pipe, the vacuum pipe, and in theory this actuator should be either fully extended or fully retracted, but this signal's only at 3.5 volts. I would expect to see that above 4. So I've just got the nitty back now, plugged onto here. We're going to apply some vacuum. What the signal drops to. Got it. The arms there. If I release vacuum, it moves. I don't think there's enough movement in that. And that should drop to less than a volt for me, definitely. Now the good thing is, I've got this one we can plug in. So this is obviously not even attached. We're at 4.5 volts almost, which is what I would expect. I'm going to plug this onto here. Apply vacuum, that moves outwards with vacuum, and we'll watch this voltage. dropped way low. So either this turbo, the vane's starting to stick, these nuts, or this actuator isn't adjusted properly, like locking them off and see what happens, or this is just no good. This one seems better, I might have to put this one on. Right, I've got this off. One thing I can tell you is this wastegate, if you will, is nice and free. I think it's a variable vane turbo, but yeah, the vanes don't appear to be sticking, so that's good. I've got the old one hooked up and sort of in its fully relaxed position, and we're still only 3.67 volts. If I plug this one that I'm going to fit back to it in, watch the voltage, straight up to 4.48. That's more like a reading I'm expecting. I don't know what entirely the history is with this vehicle. I'm going to use my VAG and see what the full voltage range is. So we're set on vacuum, just going to pump. And again, that goes down to almost 0. Let's plug this one in and see what the range is on this. So there we are, 3.65. Well, it does go lower than I expected, but obviously not as low as that other one. And then, yeah, it should go over 4 volts for me, so that's going in the bin. That's going on the car. Right, back in the signal wire now. Got vacuum on. We're on 0.7 of a volt. If I remove this, go up to 4.1, put it back on. Voltage drops to what I think should be acceptable. I'm going to clear codes and maybe try and road test it. These aren't secure yet. These lock nuts aren't secure yet. I just want to see if they're somewhere in the ballpark where we need to be. Now, funny thing is, a couple of days ago, I was just looking at a post on one of these Facebook diagnostic groups. I think somebody had replaced an actuator and they wanted to know how to set it, or how was it in its set position, and then somebody on there had put the voltage at idle should be between 0.7 and 1 volt, I think, and that's what we were getting there, weren't we? 0.78 of a volt. So if that information on there is correct, then the actuator shouldn't be a problem anymore. Got to go in now and clear codes. Right, so clear codes, continue. Now last time them DPF ones returned. So I might need to do a bit of driving. Yeah. And then on startup, the others reappeared. So let's just see if we've made any progress whatsoever. No. Now we've got this as an extra fault code that was not there before. Oh, and some freeze frame data. Holy moly. Right, I'm going to just quickly go around the block and see if it drives any different to the way it did before. That's the plan. Right, so it still drives with 0 boost. So the next thing I'm going to do is reset the adaptions for the diesel particulate filter. Obviously we've measured the pressures, we know that they're acceptable, so I'm going to tell it it's had a new DPF. What I think's happening is because the turbo's not been spooling up, exhaust gas temperature's not been increasing to where it needs to be, and that's obviously put this sort of accumulation on in the DPF regeneration duration fault. When you get loads of faults like this, sometimes it's hard work trying to figure out what order things are occurring in. Did a Qashqai a few months ago that was similar. It had no boost whatsoever. The garage that the owner usually goes to said they think it's the turbo, and obviously I had a look. The DPF was well blocked. So yeah, we unblocked it, and then it was fine, nothing wrong with the turbo. And on that, I think there was either the water pump wasn't circulating, or the thermostat was stuck open. The coolant temperature, the engine temperature wasn't really getting above 70 degrees C, so it was never hot enough for a regeneration. This obviously isn't the case with this one. So I'm going in special functions now. I'm going to do adapt particle filter values. They've been reset. That's taken the DPF light and the glow plug light off the dash. Now obviously the pressure sensor, if this is blocked, the ECU is going to know by monitoring the DPF pressures. I'm going to now clear codes again. Come on. Okay, no codes. Let's start it. Do we get any codes back? We do not. Let's drive it and see if we've got boost. Come on. Oh, we do. Woo! Yeah, boy. Let's get on a good long. Oh, that's nice. Oh. Whew. Oh. Oh my God, that is good. Ooh, cheeky. Oh, it's been too long. Feels good to get the win. Especially when it's obvious that it's been tampered with left, right and centre. It's still good to get a result. And so far, in parts, it's not cost the owner anything. I've just used that actuator that came with the car that I guess somebody had replaced thinking it was faulty. It's my only theory. That is good. I should probably tighten the actuator bolts up before I do a drive. Fuck it. See what happens. Oh my God. That is good. I wonder if we're going to get clouds of smoke, plumes of smoke out the back. Right, I've just pulled over because we're down on power, coil lights flashing, but I don't know if you can see, when I fitted this, I had this top nut wound up to that green sort of security pin marking. It's obviously wound its way down, vibrations and stuff from engine. We've got a circuit low fault on this now. I'm going to just wind that back up, nip everything down, go on a good test drive. Right then, test drive done. Just going to double check for fault codes. Hopefully it says none. Nice. So yeah, there was no real trouble code, so to speak. There was, obviously we had a number of different ones. Sometimes you've got to try and think logically about it. Obviously we eliminated the 2 DPF fault codes right at the start. The pressures were acceptable, so that was something we could put out of our mind. Then we had the turbo fault, mass air and intake air, which I thought we could ignore because I thought it was just because I had it unplugged. Turns out they came back straight away. So then when you're left with sort of 3 fault codes like that, you've kind of got to use a bit of ingenuity, I suppose. Obviously this had no boost whatsoever, not even a hint of it, so that was kind of the road I was going down. That's why I checked the actuator position sensor first. If we hadn't found out, I'd have moved on to that N75 valve. If we hadn't found anything there, then we'd be into the mass airflow side of things. So you've just got to kind of be methodical with it, really, I suppose, and know what it is that you've got to see. If I didn't know that the position sensor should reach over 4 volts and sort of less than half a volt, then I may not have thought there was an issue. It had obviously a signal voltage there, it just wasn't within its expected limits. Yeah, anyway, that is enough waffling. Hopefully there's some useful information in this, and we'll see you in the next one. Not sure what that is. Bye.